Hey, welcome back to Boxes and Bubbles, where today we're looking at Hulk vs. Thor, Banner of War Alpha issue from Marvel. Written by Donny Cates, art by Martin Coccolo, colors by Matt Wilson, and letters by VC's Joe Sabino. Donny Cates has been putting out an awesome Thor run since 2020. It was actually my first Thor book, and it's a great place to start for newcomers. There are initially a lot of callbacks, but googling Beta Ray Bill and Donald Blake was enough to get me up to speed. Though having years of prior knowledge of those characters would have made what Cates did with them even more impactful, I think it's still easy for anyone to appreciate how clever Cates' ideas for the characters are. He took established Thor lore and played with it in a really smart, exciting way. Things got even closer to home for Thor recently, when Cates' run turns its focus to Mjolnir and Odin, some of the very core things that make Thor, Thor. Without going into spoilers, Thor's been through a succession of things recently, but the most recent events have taken a heavy toll, and Thor's mental state is probably the lowest it's been for quite some time. Over on Hulk's side of things, after the events of Immortal Hulk, Bruce Banner has harnessed Hulk's psyche and is keeping his body constantly transformed. While Hulk's body is on the outside, Bruce Banner's personality controls the body from inside. Bruce is essentially piloting Hulk's body, or what he calls Starship Hulk. The Hulk's mind has been separated and contained, and powers the entire thing with its rage, which in turn is being generated by Banner, pitting him against wave after wave of enemies of varying levels of power. It's an absolutely wild story for Hulk, and personally, I love how creative and out there the idea is. Starship Hulk has been going through portals to alternate realities in order to get away from everyone in 616, where Bruce, or Hulk, or possibly both, killed 17 people in a bar in El Paso. The two stories collide in this issue, and it's wild before it even gets to the main event. The issue begins with Uatu, the Watcher, in some kind of crowd eating popcorn. He brings us up to speed with Thor and Hulk, so if you just came here to watch the brawl, you'll be fine. Though both Thor and Hulk's currently running series are a great time, and if you enjoy seeing them beat the snot out of each other, you'll most definitely enjoy their respective solo series in which they beat the snot out of other things. In the latest issue of Hulk, the Starship just left one reality to head to the next, and that's where Thor catches up to him, over this weird and cute landscape that looks a bit like Adventure Time, mixed together with old rubber hose cartoons. The environment is really cute, but actually the characters themselves look badass, and this is my favourite artwork on Hulk for a while. I love his face in this panel, and it's just a bit less cartoonishly styled than what Ryan Ottley is doing in the main Hulk book. That little bit of extra seriousness in the art style makes this version of Hulk really appeal to me. As their fight continues, terrifying the villagers, Thor asks for Sif's help so that the fight can go somewhere that won't do too much damage. Sif sends them to the Black Hand of God, which is an arena built on the hand of a dead celestial, which is pretty crazy. So we find out that this is where Uatu was sitting at the start of the book. Personally, I'm a fan of the more psychologically interesting parts of comics. The character relationships, their motivations, the thoughts and feelings of the heroes. Combat in comics seldom seems to take advantage of being presented visually, and maybe that's for page count reasons, but now and again a fight sequence executed just right can be so exciting. The Batman's Grave and the recent Black Widow run are great examples of fights being given time to show us the flow of movement in comics. Uatu sitting there shoving popcorn into his mouth sets the tone for the rest of this book perfectly. It's like a big budget action movie. Don't expect nuance here, but you can expect a damn good brawl. It even starts with a fight card, which is so awesome, and then the page after this is so cool. It's like a beat 'em up with health bars, an announcer, and everything. I love this page. This is the first time I've seen a page of a comic and then directly slapped it onto the background of my computer. As you can see from the health bars up top, Hulk's taken a bit of damage, but Thor is fine. He continues that lead by wailing on Hulk a bit more. Again, the artwork in this is so cool. This close-up of Thor looks so great while he tells Bruce why he's not relenting. He drops the hammer on his back, pinning him to the ground and says, "Mjolnir will not be moved, and neither shall I." The next moment is so cool that I can't not talk about it. So if you're planning to read this and you don't want a spoiler, go ahead and click away now. It's one of the standout moments of this issue, and why I liked it so much that I wanted to talk about it today. But I don't want to ruin anything for those of you who plan to read it yourself later. Alright? Everybody good? Good. Being pinned to the floor, Bruce increases the ship's power level. The ship's AI tells him that no matter how strong he gets, he won't be able to move from under the hammer. Bruce insists and also asks the computer to find all memory files of Hulk fighting with Thor and to let him feel the pain from all of those fights. It does, which gives Hulk enough power to stand up, not by lifting the hammer. The Hulk stands up through the hammer, which remains on the ground, tearing a giant hole in his own body before inviting Thor to pick up his hammer, which he does through the hole. While this was an awesome, impactful moment in the fight, and we're only in the Alpha issue, I can't wait to see what else is coming in this series, it also answers some questions that fans have had about whether or not the new Hulk connects to the Immortal Hulk. Many people expect that the Immortal Hulk is over and done with, and that none of the events carry over into this new Hulk. This moment seems to prove all of that false. Hulk should be very dead with most of his organs missing, but he stands up and speaks here. Unless the Hulk is able to continue functioning if he has enough rage, it appears that the Immortal Hulk is still a thing. It's just an immortal Starship Hulk now. After this comes another standout moment. When Hulk turns the tables and pins Thor to the ground, Mjolnir flies up into the air, and Hulk sneers at the boom that follows. Ha! Is that rain? You think your thunderstorms are going to hurt me? Not thunder. What? That was Mjolnir breaking the sound barrier. And as Mjolnir crashes back down, it shatters the ground of the arena and both Hulk and Thor fall into the pit underneath. Thor seizes the opportunity and launches Mjolnir at Hulk's head, landing a heavy blow and knocking Bruce off his feet. Bruce manages to stand up, but he's no longer alone in the cockpit. And at the risk of spoiling not just this book, but the Hulk books and the Thor books that are currently running, I'm going to leave it there. So as some of you might already know, I'm a big fan of giant monster fights, and this certainly delivers. This is just the Alpha issue, and it's already had 2 outstanding moments, so I'm really excited to see what happens in the rest of this series. But that's all I've got time for today. If you're interested in any other books that came out recently, make sure to check out the rest of the channel for some other spoiler-free reviews. And give me a follow at boxes.n on Twitter to hear about all the comics that I read but didn't have time to make videos about. That's all for this time, but I'll catch you next time. Bye bye!